Welcome back to another Sedlak Off-Road School adventure motorcycle off-road riding tip. And after last video where we asked you guys for some feedback to give us an idea of what you want to see, what you want to know, we've had a lot of questions about the hand placement on the handlebars when you're riding off-road, especially when you're riding standing up. So this is what we want to get into today. So the number one tip that we always give riders when they come to us for some training is to ride with their index fingers on the controls. So when I'm riding, I always have my index finger on the clutch and my index finger on the front brake for two reasons. Number one, obviously I'm already there if I need the controls. If I need to use the front brake, if I need to use the clutch, I'm ready to do so. I don't have to reach out to it. The other reason is it helps you with your hand and wrist placement on the bars. We see a lot of riders, especially when they're getting nervous, when they're riding some sandy sections, some tricky sections, they start to over grip the throttle too much, right? So they grip all the way over, and then when they get on the gas, the bike is just wide open right away. It's really hard for you to control the throttle, to control your wrist when you're over gripping that much. By keeping your index finger on the front brake lever, you're at the perfect angle right here. You're not able to over grip that much. So then from here, you can just roll back your wrist, control the throttle that way, and you never run into those issues of just being way too far forward with your shoulder, with your elbow, with your wrist, and then as your weight shifts backwards, just being stuck in that wide open position. So this is what this looks like when you're riding. You can see I just rest my finger here, and it makes it really easy for me to, accelerate, get on the throttle. My finger here gets a little bit shorter, and this is wide open, right? When I let all the way off, you can see here I'm pretty much at 90 degrees from my arm into my wrist on the throttle, ready to use the front brake at any time. And then again, if I get back on it, I just kind of roll it back and forth, really easy with just a little twist in the throttle, a slight movement in the arm to keep the bike under full control. So as you can see in this clip, I'm just resting my index finger on the controls. I'm not actually engaging the clutch or the front brake. They just rest there so I can have my wrist and my elbows in the correct position. Another good reference point for the correct position of your hand are your knuckles, right? You want to make sure that your knuckles are pointing forward where the bike's heading. We see a lot of riders that kind of just slump down on the bike and they grip the bike like this with their elbows down, and their knuckles are actually pointing up. And then from here, as you're accelerating, as you're twisting the throttle, now your knuckles are actually pointing at you, and you're just sitting behind the bars and controlling or trying to control the bike from there, which is impossible. So just make sure that you grip the bars in a position like right here, your elbows up, your knuckles are pointing forward, and then from there you just twist your wrist so your elbow can stay up. You don't want to use your whole arm to accelerate and then again have your knuckles pointing up. You just twist your wrist, keep the bike under full control, and use the leverage of your shoulders, of your elbows, of your arm to keep the bike where you want it. So here's a close-up of what the position looks like when you're riding. So this is a sitting down position. I'm just sitting down, leaning forward. My index finger is on my front brake lever. Then I have my wrist here, so I'm accelerating. Now when I transition to standing up, it's gonna look like this. And you can see that my hand doesn't move. It's just my wrist here that kind of moves up and down, so that the position, the angle of my forearm to my wrist changes a little bit, but my hand doesn't move. So from here, then it's really easy for me to control the throttle, whether I'm sitting or standing, and you don't ever have to guess with where you are because you have that reference point on your index finger here, you have the reference point of your knuckles. So from there, there's no second guessing. You know that you're exactly in the right position. One bonus tip, and we talked about this in how to control an adventure bike standing up, make sure that you have good contact with your feet, with your lower legs, so you can hold on to the bike there, and at that point you don't have to hold on so tight with your hands. The problem that most riders have is that they trying to control the entire bike from their handlebars, right? So they're holding on really tight, they're death gripping, the forearms are kind of pumping up, and it becomes really hard to use the controls and have a smooth ride. So make sure you squeeze with your lower legs, you squeeze with your feet, control the bike from there. If you're not sure what that position looks like, make sure you check the description below. We have the video link there. And then if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Every week we drop new riding tips, tech tips, bike reviews, adventure bike, enduro riding, everything two wheels off-road.